Every time you bite into a Hershey's chocolate bar, you're eating something that traveled 4,000 miles from a West African cocoa farm, survived temperatures reaching 350 degrees Fahrenheit during processing, and passed through a quality control system that legally allows 60 insect fragments per 100 grams. The FDA says that's perfectly acceptable, but here's what'll really blow your mind. Hershey's has managed to build a distribution network so precise that they can deliver fresh chocolate to over 2 million stores worldwide, while cocoa prices have exploded 200% since 2023 without completely destroying their business. Think about this for a moment. Chocolate has a shelf life of 12 to 18 months. It melts in heat, and it has to travel from cocoa farms in West Africa to your local convenience store without losing quality. The logistics alone should be impossible. Yet somehow, Hershey's manages to get fresh chocolate bars to 2 million retail outlets across 60-plus countries while dealing with cocoa prices that have exploded 200% since 2023. So how do they pull this off without going bankrupt? Here's what most people don't understand about chocolate manufacturing. It's not the romantic, artisanal process you imagine. Hershey's operates like a precision military operation. They produce 80 million Hershey's Kisses daily, and 70 million chocolate bars from their Pennsylvania plant alone. This isn't small-batch craftsmanship. This is industrial-scale chemistry. The process starts with cocoa beans from West Africa, specifically the Ivory Coast and Ghana, where Hershey has invested heavily in farming programs. But here's where it gets interesting. Those beans go through a transformation that would make Dr. Jekyll proud. They're fermented, dried, roasted, and ground into cocoa liquor, which despite the name contains zero alcohol. Now here's where the magic, or should I say the science, really happens. That cocoa liquor gets mixed with sugar, fresh Pennsylvania milk, and other ingredients in massive machines called conches. These aren't just mixers. They're refining the mixture for hours or sometimes days to achieve that smooth texture you know and love. But here's something that'll make you question everything. Hershey's chocolate contains butyric acid, which gives it that distinctive tangy flavor. The same compound that's found in vomit and rancid butter. And before you get grossed out, this isn't intentionally added. It forms naturally as a byproduct of their unique milk processing method known as the Hershey process. This is what makes Hershey's taste different from European chocolate. And it's why some people describe American chocolate as having a sour note. The conching process isn't just about mixing ingredients, it's about particle size, reduction, and flavor development. Modern conches are computer-controlled behemoths that can process tons of chocolate at a time while maintaining precise temperature and timing controls. The result is a liquid chocolate that flows like silk, but will soon become those bars you grab at checkout. Here's something mind-blowing about the scale. The new Reese chocolate processing facility that opened in April 2025 is a 250,000 square foot facility that's completely digital. This is the first new major facility near Hershey's headquarters in decades, and it processes chocolate not just for Reese's, but for Kit Kat and other major brands. The facility cost part of $1 billion supply chain upgrade and boosted their capacity by 20%. But let's talk about something Hershey's doesn't advertise. Quality control in mass chocolate production is basically controlled contamination. Remember those 60 insect fragments per 100 grams I mentioned? That's not an accident. It's an acknowledgement that when you're processing millions of pounds of agricultural products, some level of contamination is unavoidable. The FDA has what they call defect action levels for chocolate. Beyond insects, they allow rodent hair, mold, and other organic matter within specific limits. Before you swear off chocolate forever, understand this. These levels are set well below anything that would cause health problems. But it does give you a different perspective on that pure chocolate bar. The quality control process involves X-ray machines, metal detectors, and visual inspection systems that can spot defects smaller than a pinhead. Workers monitor screens showing thousands of chocolate pieces per minute, flagging anything that doesn't meet standards. The rejected chocolate gets melted down and reprocessed, so nothing goes to waste. Temperature control throughout the process is absolutely critical. Chocolate has 6 different crystal forms, and only one produces that satisfying snap when you break a bar. This process, called tempering, involves precise heating and cooling cycles. Get it wrong, and your chocolate develops that white, chalky appearance called bloom, which doesn't hurt anything but looks terrible. The molding process happens in climate-controlled rooms where liquid chocolate is poured into thousands of molds per minute. These molds are vibrated to remove air bubbles, then sent through cooling tunnels that can be several hundred feet long. The temperature drops in stages to ensure proper crystal formation and prevent thermal shock that could crack the chocolate. Now let's talk about getting this chocolate to 2 million stores without it turning into a melted mess. This is where Hershey's logistics operation becomes absolutely fascinating. They don't ship everything from Pennsylvania. They operate over 10 plants in the US, plus facilities in Mexico, Brazil, and India for regional production. The supply chain challenges are intense. Chocolate can't be stored in temperatures above 70 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods, so every step from factory to shelf requires temperature monitoring. During summer months, they use refrigerated trucks in warehouses with precise climate control. But here's what's really clever about their distribution strategy. They use predictive analytics to forecast demand down to individual store levels. The system can predict when specific locations will see increased sales based on factors like weather patterns, local events, and historical data. Because people often crave chocolate when stressed, even if they have to eat it quickly before it melts. The packaging isn't just about branding. Those foil wrappers and paper sleeves serve as barriers against moisture, light, and oxygen, all of which can degrade chocolate quality. The packaging process is synchronized with production, so chocolate spends minimal time exposed to air between molding and wrapping. Regional distributors handle the final mile delivery, often coordinating with other snack food companies to maximize truck efficiency. A single delivery truck might carry products from multiple manufacturers, but chocolate always gets priority placement away from heat sources like engines or direct sunlight. But everything I just described is under massive pressure right now, and the reason will shock you. Cocoa prices have gone absolutely insane. We're talking about a 200% increase since 2023, and it's not slowing down. Weather issues in West Africa, supply chain disruptions, and increased demand have created a perfect storm. Hershey's response has been brutal price increases. They've hiked prices by 10 to 15% on chocolate bars, and that's just the beginning. When your main ingredient costs triple, you either raise prices or destroy your profit margins. Guess which option shareholders prefer? The company is desperately trying to diversify away from pure chocolate dependency. Their salty snacks division, including brands like Skinny Pop, grew 8.8% in Q2 2025. They're literally trying to become less of a chocolate company to survive chocolate price volatility. Here's something most people don't realize. Hershey's milk chocolate in the UK legally cannot be called chocolate because it doesn't meet European cocoa content standards. They have to call it candy or confection. This isn't just regulatory pickiness. European standards require higher cocoa content, which means European chocolate companies are getting hit even harder by these price increases. The sustainability programs in West Africa aren't just good PR, they're survival strategies. Hershey's Cocoa. For Good program aims for 100% sustainable cocoa by 2025, but it's really about securing supply chains. When cocoa farmers can't make a living, they switch crops, and chocolate companies lose their raw materials. Hershey's isn't just sitting around waiting for cocoa prices to drop. Their innovation strategy is fascinating and slightly desperate. At the 2025 Sweets and Snacks Expo, they unveiled products like Reese's Oreo Cups and new caramel varieties. These aren't just new flavors. They're attempts to add value and justify higher prices. The collaboration products are particularly smart business moves. When you combine Reese's with Oreo, you're not just creating a new product. You're leveraging two established fan bases and splitting marketing costs with another company. It's innovation through partnership rather than pure R&D spending. The new digital facility I mentioned earlier incorporates AI for production efficiency. Machine learning algorithms optimize mixing times, temperature controls, and even predict equipment maintenance before breakdowns occur. When margins are tight, every efficiency gain matters. Behind the scenes, they're also exploring ways to reduce cocoa dependency through alternative ingredients and processing methods. While they're not ready to announce specific breakthroughs, the company is investing heavily in research to create chocolate-like products that require less traditional cocoa while maintaining taste and texture. The packaging innovations aren't just environmental PR. New recyclable wrappers and sustainable packaging reduce costs while appealing to environmentally conscious consumers. When you're fighting price increases, anything that adds value without adding costs becomes essential. The global chocolate market is getting increasingly competitive, and Hershey's is fighting battles on multiple fronts. In international markets, they're competing against established European brands like Ferrero and Lindt, which have different cost structures and flavor profiles. Local adaptation isn't just about taste preferences. In markets like India and China, Hershey's adjusts recipes for local palates, which often prefer less sweet chocolate. This requires separate production lines, different ingredient sourcing, and customized marketing strategies for each region. The convenience store market is particularly brutal. Shelf space is limited, and retailers can demand better terms from manufacturers competing for prime real estate near checkout counters. Hershey's has to balance wholesale prices with retail partnerships while maintaining profitability. Distribution partnerships become critical in international markets. Rather than building infrastructure in every country, Hershey's partners with local distributors who understand regional logistics challenges. These partnerships require careful management and often involve sharing profits with multiple intermediaries. Currency fluctuations add another layer of complexity. When cocoa is priced in dollars but sold in dozens of different currencies, exchange rate movements can wipe out profit margins overnight. Hershey's uses financial hedging to manage some of this risk, but it's never perfect. But here's something I've been wondering about, and I need your help figuring this out. If Hershey's can coordinate production and distribution to 2 million stores while managing temperature-sensitive products and volatile ingredient costs, why can't other industries solve their logistics problems? Is there something special about chocolate manufacturing? Or could these same systems revolutionize how we distribute medicine, fresh food, or other critical products? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'm genuinely curious what you think. Let's talk numbers because Hershey's financial performance tells the real story behind all this operational complexity. Q2 2025 net sales hit approximately $2.1 billion, which sounds impressive until you realize it's actually down slightly year over year due to cocoa cost pressures. However, their diversification strategy is working. Salty snacks surged 8.8% to $315 million. Proving that moving beyond chocolate isn't just smart, it's essential for survival. Both Goldman Sachs and BNP Paribas upgraded the stock in September 2025, citing resilient demand and successful innovation strategies. The billion-dollar supply chain upgrade isn't just about capacity. It's about flexibility and efficiency in an increasingly volatile market. New ERP systems provide better forecasting capabilities, which becomes critical when ingredient costs swing wildly and consumer preferences shift rapidly. Stock buybacks are planned for 2026, assuming cocoa prices stabilize and margins recover. This signals management confidence in long-term prospects despite current challenges. The Halloween 2025 preparation cycle amplified distribution discussions as seasonal demand creates massive logistics challenges that test every system they've built. What's happening at Hershey's right now represents something bigger than just chocolate manufacturing. This is a case study in how traditional manufacturing companies adapt to supply chain volatility, changing consumer preferences, and increased competition in a globalized market. The integration of AI and digital systems isn't just about efficiency. It's about survival in an industry where margins are thin and mistakes are expensive. When you're producing millions of units daily, even small improvements in yield or waste reduction translate to millions in annual savings. The sustainability programs aren't just about corporate responsibility. They're about supply chain security in a world where climate change and political instability threaten traditional sourcing relationships. Companies that secure their supply chains today will have competitive advantages tomorrow. The diversification into salty snacks and other categories shows how even iconic brands must evolve or risk irrelevance. Consumer preferences change, commodity prices fluctuate, and companies that can't adapt get left behind. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, you're part of the inner circle now, and I've got something special for you. Type Sweet Choco in the comments to prove you watched until the end. Here's your reward. While researching this video, I discovered that Hershey's is quietly working on what industry insiders call cocoa extended formulations, essentially finding ways to maintain their chocolate taste while using less traditional cocoa through alternative ingredients and enhanced processing methods. This isn't some magical secret recipe, but rather sophisticated food science aimed at reducing their dependence on increasingly expensive cocoa beans. The exact details aren't public, but the goal is clear. Create products that taste like traditional Hershey's while being less vulnerable to cocoa price volatility. The implications for pricing, accessibility, and global chocolate consumption could be significant if they succeed. Listen, if this deep dive into industrial food production and global supply chains fascinated you, you absolutely need to subscribe right now because this is exactly what I do every single week. I take the companies and systems you interact with daily and show you the incredible complexity hiding behind the simple act of buying a chocolate bar. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because I'm about to drop a video revealing how McDonald's serves 69 million customers daily across 120 countries. And trust me, the logistics behind that operation will make Hershey's look simple. You'll discover supply chain secrets that most people never even think about. Don't miss it. Subscribe now and join a community that understands how the world really works behind the scenes.